In 2022, we live in a strange time. I remember back in the day, there were people definitely were in the LGBT community, always have been around, but there was kind of just, you would have to know exactly where those circles were at to, engage in some things. But today, everything's out in the open. Now, this one sister going to tell the story about something that we have seen many times before, just looking in the news about this trans woman, because some of them think it's funny trying to fool men who are straight and don't engage in any kind of LGBT behavior. Let's go ahead and review it.
A quick story, similar to the transgender Hennessy. I had a friend many years ago who was.
Now there was this, I think that's the one she's talking about. There was this trans, woman that was out here, putting out all these guys that they were fooling with. And, this particular one was working at a strip club. Nobody knew this was a trans woman. I think this one had the the gender reassignment surgery, not the ones who are, didn't have the surgery. But yeah, that's a big scandal going on with that one. And, if y'all interested in hearing that scandal, we can talk about that here, because fooling straight men and thinking it's a joke to fool them, you're playing a dangerous game. But let's continue.
Transgender male becoming female, and let's just call her Destiny. And so she would pick up dudes in a bar and would not disclose to them that she was a male, and she would come.
Very dangerous to do, and just downright wrong. You should disclose. Hey, listen, this is my situation. Are you cool with that? And that would be the end of the problem.
Work and tell stories about her encounters with the men and their, night, their little rendezvous. I remember vividly telling her one day she gonna pick up the wrong one. So one day I was on my way to work. I used to work outside the office, going in and out, doing audits and things like that. And my then boyfriend called me and asked me if I had heard from Destiny. And I told him, I said, no, I haven't talked to them. And he said, well, she hasn't come to work yet. And then he asked me if I heard from her roommate. Let's just call the roommate Scott. So I told him, no, I haven't heard from Scott either. So I just hang up the phone and go about my regular work day. Then my cell phone rings again, and it's my then boyfriend. And he says to me that Destiny was killed. So of course I'm in denial of it. And I'm like, well, I'm driving to their house because I knew where they lived and I had been to their house before. And he was begging me, don't go over there. Don't go over there. Please don't go over there, because the police are there. He then puts our department mother on the phone, and she begs me. She's like, baby, do not go over to that house because the police are there. I was devastated. What I found out had happened was, once again, Destiny had picked up a guy at a bar and did not disclose that she was a male. She always had this tendency to come home drunk, stumbling, falling over things, and breaking lamps from just walking up the stairs. So that night, her roommate assumed that she was drunk. He was in his bedroom asleep. He had no idea that she had brought company home, and all the crashing and the banging and the booming was him, the guy, murdering Destiny. Scott didn't get out the bed to check on Destiny. He just assumed she was just drunk off her ass, making all this noise. Little did he know, she was in the room getting strangled to death. The next morning, Scott awakened, walked into Destiny's bedroom, found her under the sheet, came in the room to say we were going to be late for work. He pulls the sheet back and finds Destiny dead. That's why you transgender people need to disclose what you were beforehand.
Yeah, that's tragic. You know what happened? That's very, very tragic. But, you need to let people know, because some of them say, well, why should I have to say anything? I am a woman, XYZ. This is how I identify and all of that. And that may be, how you feel. But if you're going to sit up here and try to fool with men that want to be with women, biological women, not trans women, you need to say something. Because usually from what I've seen over the years of these stories, is usually 2 instances why a guy will flip out and, take you out of here. One, you tricked him. You had your surgeries, you tricked him, and by the time he got there, he found something else in your pants that wasn't supposed to be there, and he just lost it because I was sitting up here kissing a man. No straight man want to kiss a man, don't want to have any relation with a man in that way. Straight men love women and everything about a woman. Straight men say it's nothing about a man I like. Nothing in that area. The second kind of guy that would, do something to a trans woman is a guy who do engage in that behavior, but he's closeted with it. And when this trans woman say, oh, well, I'm going to expose you before the world, a lot of times that triggers them to, take them out of here too. That's like the 2 instances that I've seen constantly on when things happen to, trans women. But the tricking and there's another term they called it. I think they said stealthing or something like that. If you trying to just trick these straight men and not try to fool with, I guess, the men that want to engage in that behavior with you, you're playing a very dangerous game. Very, very dangerous game. So if you're doing that, please stop. Because like this sister said, you're going to meet the wrong one and it's not going to be a good thing for you. I mean, I am so glad that I'm a married man of almost 11 years. I'm not out there like some of you men are, looking for women. Because see, that's the thing about the trans thing and why a lot of men are getting fooled. At one point in time in America, look, just go back and even look at the music videos from the 90s. I was like, I was in the gym. I was on a treadmill. And I was looking at, it was an Emery, that song, One Thing. I was watching the video, Common, Come Close, Mary J. Blige. What other video I was watching? Donnell Jones, you know what's up. Though the video right there, Left Eye. If you just go look at the videos and look at the women and how they was presented, how they looked in that time period, natural beauty. Okay. And usually even in that time period, when you had trans women, you would know they're trans because the makeup they was doing, everything was just eccentric with them. They look like a caricature of a woman versus real natural, biological women. But today we have biological women doing so much fake things to themselves that unfortunately a lot of you guys who's dating a trans woman and a biological woman look the same now because they're literally getting the same surgeries, they're wearing the same makeup, everything's the same. Now they got all this medical advancements with, all this hormone therapy they're giving them now and taking away like a deep voice like mine and making them sound like a lady and all of that with all this hormone therapy. And, with time, they even changed their physical features, some of them to look like a lady, the ones that got the money to really do the changes like that. I mean, man, I'm so glad. I'm so glad, I'm not out there like that, Lord. Because guys, could you imagine that you talking to what you think is a woman and you hitting it off and whatever, and you thinking, oh yeah, everything cool. I met this new lady, XYZ. And you hug the person, you kiss the person, and then you find out the whole time that you was kissing a biological male. I mean, your whole oh boy, I couldn't imagine something like that happening. And I can see how a guy can just black out and they just lose it. You know what I'm saying? So man, I feel for y'all. So I don't know. Start. I don't know. Maybe y'all need to start asking for birth certificates. Maybe you need to start going to the house and looking in the bathroom, fellas, seeing if you find some tampons or some pads. See if you find some Midol in there. Maybe you need to ask them what's the name of their gynecologist. you know, and when the last time they went, and you go investigate the gynecologist, you know, making sure that's a real doctor they talking about. Yeah, you guys better start asking some questions these days about gynecologists, pads and cycles and, you know, all of that. You know what I'm saying? Y'all better start finding out, because it's a crazy world for you fellas out here that's dating. But yeah, don't trick men. You trans women out here, don't trick men. Nah, some of them that's down with y'all, and let me say something else. If some of them that's down with y'all, but they're down low with it, don't expose them either. Don't do that, because that's also causing that too. I'm not saying they should be out there doing things with you on the low while they got a whole wife at home and girlfriend at home. That's not right at all. I mean, they need to live their truth. If they are, you know, like trans women, they need to go do their thing, you know, and leave that woman alone. You know, because a lot of times they don't tell those women what they're doing. There's so many stories out there where these men have been having wives and girlfriends, and they out here midnight creeping with a trans woman. Look, that's the reality in America. Not my reality, you know, not at all. But yeah, this it's crazy. I feel for y'all in the dating world.